champion, it's like, well, Galio doesn't really provide much poke. You've got a little bit of poke from the deadly version, the curtain call. You got a little bit coming through from the karma as well. It's a bit of a weird draft from V5, so I'll have to see how they do try and execute when it comes to these team fights, because obviously the Galio here being used more as this disengage tool, try and dissuade JDG from joining in, but with the range that you've got between Kanavi, LoKen, and even Yagao, who can pop the ball on towards Zoom, who's taking this Volibear, you can go for these super aggressive plays.
We'll see how JDG are going to go about activating on this one as well, because as we rightly mentioned, V5, they've got a lot of peel for themselves, whereas JDG, it feels like they want to go in. With the Ashe and the Bard being able to make picks at long range, you've got an Orianna that can follow up when a Volibear jumps in. That's a perfect ball delivery system right there.
I'm surprised. I really thought we were going to see something a little bit different coming in from Biubiu. I was expecting something like the Wukong to maybe come in, or something along these lines that can be this engage tool and set up for the Galio like we're talking about. I feel like with the composition JDG have, it's so easy for them to play at range, not actually try and engage and enable the likes of Mole or even this Karma in these engagements, and they can poke, prod, force back V5, and then just turn towards the objectives that they want themselves.
We'll see if V5 are going to have what it takes to take on our spring champions, to take on their 5th and final trial of intellect here against JDG. But in the draft, I'm liking what JDG have here. Kanavi on this Nidalee is always something to be feared.
JDG 加油！希望你们有精彩的发挥，打出好成绩。JDG 加油！
Plenty of Jaios coming through for JDG as we come into the 3rd game here. JDG, they've drafted themselves some proactive ways to play this game, which is good because that's how they lost in game number 2. That's how V5 found their advantages, was finding a lead and drafting a composition that JDG could not fight 5v5.
And when we look at that 5v5 here again, I feel like it's going to favor JDG. Because as we said, look, you play at range. You've also got LvMao with this Tempered Fate, who can do a really good job of shutting down the kite back ability of V5 in these games. And I'm kind of a bit worried, to be honest, about V5. I feel like what they need to do is really enable Mole in these early stages to either work with Weiwei to get into these invades, shut down Kanavi, and try and set Weiwei up for success, or try and make these big plays around the bottom side. Because it feels like this entire composition is about Weiwei playing frontline and enabling this Graves through shields, through that protective shield that comes through from Mole, and gaining distance and a bit of space for this Graves pick.
We'll see if they're going to be able to buy Weiwei space. Honestly, this composition out of V5 feels a little bit like a JDG spring composition, right? It's a composition all designed around Weiwei being the carry from the jungle, which was the entire identity for JDG back in spring. It was all about setting Kanavi up to be the primary carry. When Kanavi joined JDG, he joined under the confirmation that he was the guy that this team was going to play around. Feels like V5 going to go for that themselves here, as we've got to play towards the mid lane. Taunt out of Mole. It's just going to be enough for him to get out of the play.
A lot of attention here from Kanavi towards this mid lane, though, not to be unexpected. We already talked about how Kanavi likes to play through Mole, or through Yagao, trying to punish Mole on this Galio pick, give a bit of push power towards Yagao, and already Kanavi entering back onto this bottom side. So he'll be matching Wei as they start to go towards the Scuttle Crab, and when LoKen and LvMao having the push power bot lane, they'll actually be able to help at the Scuttle.
Yagao will get taunted up here, and it's a good amount of damage that can follow through, but obviously Weiwei before level 6 doesn't have insane burst, because you can usually dodge the second proc on the end of the line. Also,
Yagao has gone towards his phase rush, so it's going to be pretty hard to dodge or to get on top of him. If you're not able to hit with the stun or with the taunt, you'll be able to speed on out of there. At the moment, though, 2 ganks towards mid, more about kind of just getting some push back in favor of each of these mid laners. And we'll go back towards Weiwei, now clearing out. With ppgod and SamD pushing out on this bottom side, they can move over towards this first. But
look at the hook and the follow-up from SamD as well. LoKen's ignited already, and there is a stun and a half from LvMao, the best bard in the world. ppgod takes a javelin, but he gets out with his life here. Nice answer there from JDG.
V5 still get what they come for, though. Control of river, ppgod and SamD can move up to help with this scuttle, and that's what the main fight all was here. But JDG looking to contest still.
Yeah, bear in mind Yagao is incredibly low in the mid lane. LvMao will get a little bit of damage on through as Kanavi was forced to flash. LoKen joining in on the play, but ultimately V5 are here. They have answered far better, and they get themselves a scuttle grab.
A lot of antics, though, in this already, trying to see if the junglers can one-up each other. And now we're going to try and rinse and repeat towards this top side. Biubiu, though, has this advantage. He can start to move, although you're TPing right into a top.
That was a bit of a dangerous TP, but he'll get by with a little help from his friends there. Yagao gets back onto the play because he wants to help Kanavi contest with his topside scuttle. We could have yet another brawl, but Zoom's recalling.
Zoom's recalling. He's too low, although he's going to stick around as he knows, hey, look, Biubiu's going to peace out, try to help with this scuttle. However, that's now both scuttles that have gone the way of Weiwei, and he can make a back in towards his jungle to clear out some more of his creeps. The big thing for here as well is that with the path that Weiwei took, he actually cleared out a good portion of his jungle, whereas Kanavi still had like the likes of the Krugs and those Raptors that were still up. So it's going to be Weiwei's camps that are respawning at a higher level, so he can start to now get that level and that snowball going when it comes to the experience and gold.
And it's such a pleasure to watch these two teams understanding the win conditions for each jungler. And V5 saying, look, we have to control these scuttles. Both Graves and Nidalee love to just power farm, find advantages through counter jungling, through clearing away things like these scuttle crabs in the early game. V5 saying, look, we know that we need to win this, and we're going to play as a team to force these advantages in the early game.
So we want to look now at how these teams are going to continue pushing forward. So as you said, both these teams right now are very heavily focused on the jungle as well. For Victory 5, that's to be expected. We already highlighted that Weiwei is going to be the big impact for this squad. He's the one that this composition is built around in a lot of situations. So how do JDG try and respond to this? Because Kanavi's kind of on the at least set a little bit back because the double scuttle is going away with Weiwei. And with LvMao not having a huge amount of push power in this bottom lane, it's a lot more difficult for Kanavi, as you can see, to have control around this bottom side, as ppgod and SamD are already trying to work with Weiwei to move into Kanavi's jungle and get more vision control for Weiwei.
Speaking of Weiwei, he's going to start off this dragon for himself. The control that V5 were able to grab for themselves off the back of LoKen recalling means that they will grab this first dragon. It's going to be a cloud next, so we will have either a mountain or an infernal soul this game, which are both exceptionally valuable dragons to be fighting for in the mid game.
So V5 now, moving forward, are going to continue trying to push Weiwei in towards Kanavi's jungle. You're going to be looking at Mole as well, who's now hit that level 6 point. He's just got his reset, so he's full of mana, full of health, full of life, and might need to be using that ult towards topside to protect Biubiu here.
Yeah, because Kanavi and LvMao want to make a play, and this is the power of the Bard. Flash available for Biubiu, but the stun is going to come on through from this Bard. Biubiu, though, will survive with Corrupted Potion, and he gets someone under tower as well. There's a kill for Mole. The double taunt. Zoom will go down. Double kill and a Justice Punch to boot.
Oh, it's a disaster for JDG. Kanavi standing right on the edge of tower range, right on the edge of that Galio ultimate. Falls down, Zoom gets caught as well, and great turnaround from V5.
Right on the edge of oblivion right there. Now Mole wants to make more plays towards this mid lane. ppgod just about misses his hook. As Weiwei will tank up the chickens, LvMao with a 1v1 onto the enemy jungler right here. Kanavi moving in. Will be able to grab himself his mega chicken. Yagao just a little bit shy on the ultimate.
Swing and a miss from Yagao, and it was JDG trying to set up a play where, okay, Weiwei's moved into the jungle. He's trying to be obnoxious against Kanavi here, but they couldn't quite make the play work. And here, Biubiu does a really good job of holding on to his flash for so long. So when he gets underneath the turret here, even with the stun coming through, it's such an overextension here. Miscommunication from JDG about who was going to finish off the play, and then they just get caught by Mo.
And he baited them with the heal as well. That's the thing about Karma. You can always bait in with that heal. You're deceptively tanky. When you get that tether off with the mantra, it heals you a massive amount. You could see him heal for, I think it was 300, maybe 400 health. towards the end of that play. Bought enough time for Mole to move in, and now V5, they already got the first dragon. They're looking for a Herald as well.
Yeah, and in the battle of junglers, Weiwei is coming out massively on top in this game. So he's already stealing away camps. He has hit that level 6 quicker than Kanavi, although Kanavi's now on level 6. He's got him both the Rift Herald and that first dragon. So when we look towards V5 looking to accelerate this game, where they are going to be at their strongest, you know, that 1 item, 2 item spike, where you're going to be working with the Black Cleaver Graves or even Infinity Edge Graves that we've seen Weiwei go for in the past. You're going to have a bunch of shielding come through from Biubiu, who's going to be really tanky. Mole can provide a lot here as well. Like, V5's mid game is looking really strong right now.
We just saw some really, really smart play from V5 there as well, specifically Mole. Obviously, we knew Weiwei was top. Finishes the Herald. In the meantime, Kanavi could have moved into that red buff area of the jungle. So Mole, while he knows he wants to recall anyway, just goes and recalls on the red buff. He's like, look, if Kanavi comes, I'm here, I'm a brick wall, I'm going to CC him up, and we can find ourselves a pick. But I'm also going to make sure we have complete knowledge that now Kanavi has to be on the top side of the map.
What I do like that JDG are doing, though, is trying to get control of River and trying to get some vision back in their favor. Because the best way for JDG to fight against V5 is to not fight at all. They want to make sure that they are scaling into the late game where Yagao is becoming that big Orianna, where you're going to have Zoom who can set up for these 5v5 engages. They just want a little bit of time before Weiwei becomes too hot to handle.
The problem with that, though, Dagda, is that was the game plan. Zoom skips away with his life. That was the game plan in game number 2, Dagda, and it didn't work out so hot for JDG. They did not scale up. They fought over dragons that they didn't necessarily need to fight for, necessarily have an advantage for, and it ended up with V5 having a convincing win. Weiwei tanking the tower a little bit more than he needed to there, as the Herald is going to be dropped. Gold still goes over to Sam D, but it does mean now that they're not going to be able to finish that tower off.
They're a little bit unlucky with the timing here, because the focus for V5 right now is to go towards that dragon. They're all resetting at the 50 seconds, which is the last time that you can reset realistically before you need to fight, or at least get control around this objective. So we're going to have Weiwei. Actually, maybe not, because Weiwei is pathing towards that top side. So maybe they're just going to forego the dragon for the moment and instead look to make plays elsewhere. But I assumed that the play was to go towards dragon. But Sam D hasn't backed either. I think they're going to take this one a little bit slower.
And hey, if Kanavi's going to go for that dragon, then it does mean that there's an opportunity there for Weiwei to grab himself a CS advantage instead. In the meantime, Biubiu going to be able to stack himself some tower plates as he's just going to speed away. Every time Zoom tries to make a play, it's going to be denied by Biubiu. Kanavi, though, was not tempted by the dragon himself. Wants to make a play on this top side, but I mean, how do you ever get onto this Khan?
Exactly. That's why Karma top is so frustrating. She has the shields, and even if you, to speed her up, and even if you get onto her, cool, she's going to have that tether that heals or stuns you, and she's able to piece out as well. But Mole now.
Mole making a play here onto Yagao. Already more than half of his health gone. Collateral damage doesn't quite connect, though. And now, Mole could be the one in trouble. Shockwave going to be held onto, though, and V5 get themselves onto this dragon.
And because Kanavi wasn't trying to...
Oh, hang on. We're not done just yet. LvMao's going to be caught, but Magical Journey will keep him safe. Everybody gets away from the shots. A couple of them are hit, but health bar's still okay.
Inferno Dragon is on the cards, though, which is perfect for V5, as they just want to pump as much damage through Weiwei and through Sam D in this game. LoKen, I mean, look, it's admirable that you want to defend this tower, but it's not going to survive very long.
He does have LvMao moving over, and Kanavi's not far away. There's a Shockwave in the mid lane.
The issue here, though, is if you try to make a play bot side, Yagao's no mana, you can have Mole come in with the ultimate or the TP. Even Biubiu can come in here, and it'll be a 4 versus 5. JDG do not want to make a play here.
Well, it looks like even if they don't make a play, they've done enough to deter the play out of V5. They've stopped this dive from happening. They've kept their tower alive, at least for now. Check out Biubiu on the minimap, though. He's moving down to the rest of the map to maybe make a play somewhere else.
Might just be looking for the scuttle there. I think it has spawned, so I think he's just trying to pick that one up for himself to give him a bit of safety in that top side and make sure that they've got control of that river. ppgod now, getting a love tap, but trying to see if he can turn that play around. You have to be so careful as JDG because Mole can join in these fights.
Yeah, and you can see him on the minimap already. He's sliding on over. Yagao doesn't have his Shockwave available. We saw him use that just to try and put some pressure onto Mole. Kanavi wants to find a spear, though. ppgod just about gets out of the Tempered Fate. Flash forward, there's a lot of CC, but he dodges the spear. ppgod, how does he get away with this time and time again? One more Javelin. finishes off the kill, but it looked so damn good.
He was so close to getting out, and well played to force flashes, heals across the board from JDG. So V5 now will look to try and trade this in the top lane. But honestly, I give the favor to Kanavi and LoKen when it comes to at least getting a couple of these turret plates back in the favor, just because you've got all this attack speed. But V5 have got a little bit of a head start.
Zoom going to be trying to grab this red buff because he knew Weiwei was coming on down and realizes he cannot win when he doesn't have the smite. Sam D, in the meantime, will get himself one of these plates in the mid lane, but a shockwave out of Yagao, but he doesn't have any mana to work with. Root won't land. If he just had a little bit more mana, that could have been a solo kill. Now LoKen's the one in trouble, as Biubiu wants to try and find this AD carry. LoKen going to play Ring Around the Rosies. Kanavi's here to try and stop the play out of Biubiu, but a teleport being channeled. The action just doesn't end in this series. LoKen going to be tethered here, and Mole easily able to follow up. There's a stopwatch being used, but LvMao sacrificed his life to save the AD carry. Now the fight really kicks off as they try and get onto Mole, but he's got a stopwatch too. Biubiu still tanking up. In they go with the grand entrance, but Kanavi heals himself at the last possible second.
Deadly Verge doesn't catch Kanavi either, but we're still going here, Munch.
Yeah, Taunt doesn't quite land, though. Weiwei moving in. Collateral damage not quite in range. Are they going to continue this play? V5 maybe have overstepped his Weiwei. Keeps himself safe. Did have the flash available, but doesn't need it.
Look at the mid lane, though. Sam D just moves down, curtain calls and says, right, my job's done here. I'm going to hoosh back over towards this mid. So now they get this bottom lane turret off that play. Don't think they quite got that mid lane, actually, with LvMao coming across, but still, bunch of gold going in favor of V5. They're at 4,000 gold at 15 minutes, and there's now a Rift Tower that they can go and fight over.
And the crazy thing is, this is a 4,000 gold lead for V5 off of the back of smart map plays. This isn't just brute forcing team fights. This isn't just, you know, winning out in brawls to get yourself gold. This is all about turret plays, all about outmaneuvering JDG.
This is all about Weiwei. Weiwei has been incredible in this early jungle, and it's V5 snowballing off that advantage. You can see Kanavi's only level 8. Weiwei is level 10 right now, and when they go to make these plays, there's stopwatches across the board. There's so many disengage tools that when JDG actually move in, they've got to hightail it out away from all this CC. The shields are coming in clutch from Biubiu as well. It is so incredibly hard for JDG off of the back of V5 snowballing so effectively to try and answer for this pressure.
So what happens for JDG now? How do they find themselves some advantages? Because we've talked about how when at 15 minutes V5 are ahead, they've got an 85% win rate, right? They're very far ahead at 15 minutes tagged. Is all hope lost for JDG?
It has to come down. Oh, hang on.
Not if they can find ppgod, that's the answer. Bit of damage coming through onto this Nautilus, but they don't commit to the play.
So what JDG want to try and do is have these big wombo combos with Zoom and Yagao, who can very quickly pick off Sam D and Weiwei, because once in particular Weiwei is down, there's not a huge amount of consistent damage that can come out. Sam D against the likes of Zoom and Kanavi with all these heals won't be able to burst down or carry these fights. So as V5 turn towards their third dragon, JDG are going to move in and look for just that big combo.
Yeah, everyone from JDG is here. They want to stop this snowball. They want to find themselves with advantages of their own, but the dragon has already gone down, and so has Yagao. V5, they've already won the fight before it ever begun, and now it's just the chase down. Curtain call going to get the slow, and it means that the taunt comes through onto LoKen, and suddenly JDG, they're surrounded. They can't get back to their base. This might just be the full ace, as ppgod will be answered for. Another double taunt, as Mole is just going insane in this series.
V5 can't even turn towards the Baron. They've near aced JDG at 17 minutes into the game. 3 dragons in their favor, a plethora of gold at their feet, and now they can do whatever they want in this game. V5 are looking so damn clean.
And Yagao getting caught out with his flash available, with his shockwave available. This is not what you expect out of the superstar mid lane.
It really isn't, especially when you look at how he just walked into ppgod. They are all separated here. Neither Kanavi or Yagao or even LvMao can look to tank that hook, but all 3 of them are left exposed. LoKen then has got to go run away as quick as he can, because Mole, with a great flash over that cosmic binding, is able to close the distance, and from that point forward, you're caught between a rock and a hard place as JDG.
Yeah, I mean, There's not really any way out of this one. The double taunt at the end from Mole. Mole looks amazing on this Galio, by the way. He does every single time we see it, and he's going to repeat that performance once again. Herald now in the mid lane as V5 look to extend this gold lead even further.
Mole even looking to potentially make a play underneath this tower. As that Rift Tower is coming, he's hiding off the wings. Now JDG will realize that he's there.
Doesn't have his summoners available, so it's a little bit more difficult to find these taunts. LvMao, you're meant to be the best bard in the world, mate. You're not meant to Tempered Fate too late to stop the charge.
And that's the big issue now, because Tempered Fate could have been the way that maybe you can set up these engages as JDG, but unfortunately, that's now a swing and a miss from LvMao. They can move over towards getting control of this river. We've got a minute before Baron spawns, which is absolutely insane with how quickly V5 have accelerated this game. But they've even got a dragon they can turn towards in 2.5 minutes.
I'm not looking towards the Baron. I'm looking at that next Infernal Drake, because if V5 get themselves an Infernal Soul, they're already winning in damage. Like, that's just insult to injury at that point, and honestly, could be the end of the game and the series for JDG, the comfortable favorite here. For Biubiu might just go down before any of these plays even happen. The turret's still alive here as Kanavi's going to be tanking this one. Poor last turret shot doesn't quite hit in time. I was thinking that might have been deja vu there.
Nearly was, but really good job from Biubiu, and that's the power of this Karma, but V5 do want to turn.
Yeah, they're going on to Mole. Zoom is quite happy to tank a lot of this damage. Pretty much everything missing there, and a magical journey straight out of the alcove. I think JDG got away with this one.
They have, and they crucially burnt the 2 TPs from Biubiu and from Mole as well. So a lot invested from V5 and not quite able to find that hook from ppgod to set it up. But ppgod is still hunting. He wants to see if he can make amends here.
Speak of the devil, and he shall arrive. ppgod moving on in. Doing his best Lucifer impression there, but
blasphemy.
He's gonna look for some wolves for himself. Who was he trying to set up for that? I guess Weiwei was still nearby.
Either way, now we're hitting the point where, look, minute and a half towards this dragon. Resets are coming in. Let's take a look at the items before we get to this fight, because you're only hitting one item across the board for JDG, whereas everyone on V5 is finishing off their second item. Rapid fire cannon now for Sam D. Mole has managed to get himself 10 stacks on his Magi's alongside the Zhonya's and the Hextech Proto Belt. Black Cleaver finished for Weiwei. V5 have hit their stride, they've hit it hard, and JDG don't really have a huge amount left in the tank, or even fueled up at all, to be honest, as they're only sitting on the Triforce for Zoom.
Just look at the difference between the mid laners right now, Dagda. We have 3 completed items, including a 10-stack Magi's for Mole. We have a hose for Yagao. Like, that's a pretty stark difference between our mid laners right now, especially when Orianna is a scaling mid laner. Look at what the Colonel is spouting right now, 80%. That almost matches their statistics.
It really does, which was 85%, but this is V5 running away with this game. This is why V5 are so potent. When they get these early leads, they are incredible at snowballing them out of control. ppgod now looking for Kanavi, but just going to get some wards down and just force them back in towards that top side.
But the Drake, that's what's important right now, Doug. The 10 seconds until that is up. LoKen is in the top side of the map, doesn't even have TP. With Infernal Soul on the line, JDG are saying, we cannot fight you right now, V5. They're just going to forego the Infernal Soul and hope for some miracle fight later in the game.
And that's a massive miracle that they're looking for. You have got so much control here as V5. They have now got an Elder that they can play around. They have got the Baron that they can play around, and with that Infernal Soul, the damage that they can churn out, the burst damage that's on this squad is unbelievable.
If you get a rapid fire cannon range, Storm Razor, 4th shot with Infernal Soul at Sam D, see you later, Yagao. That's the end of your life.
Yeah, you're going to know all about it, but even just the way that these fights have been kicking off is oftentimes JDG are very grouped up because you've got Kanavi, Yagao, LoKen all playing around a similar spot in that back line. If you are getting the likes of Mole into the middle of that, or even as he talks about some of these long-range shots from Sam D, you can burst so well through these squads. Zoom now on this bottom side as V5 are threatening and actually starting up this Baron.
I mean, they can, right? They have so much damage. They have so much threat in the team fight. And JDG just said, we don't want to fight you. So V5 are like, all right, we'll force you to with an Infernal Soul. And we've already found a pick for ourselves. LoKen going to be knocked up, dodges away from a few things here, flashes over the wall to keep himself safe. Now Taunt, as we're just about going to see the teleport from Zoom. You're a little bit late to the party on that one. And there's a flash forward as the fourth shot hits. The shield comes through at the last second. In they go, though. Kanavi, he's been baited and outsmarted. Weiwei shuts him down with a blast from the shotgun. And now onto Baron once more.
There's no way they won't get Baron this time around. And V5 can always turn towards these Barons. They have such strong Baron take, not because of the damage they can turn out, which is pretty damn high, but because the shields from Biubiu means that they don't actually take much damage as they go for this. And right now, V5 are putting on a masterclass.
This is beautiful from V5. They are taking the 5-head crown away from JDG. The most intelligent team in the LPL is the most intelligent no more.
And look at how JDG are trying to respond. Ooh. Wasn't sure if they're going to turn on to LvMao, but LoKen, they're like, right, we need you off to split push. We know that this game has gone completely awry. Maybe we can buy some time. We can push out these side lanes. Maybe look for a miracle Elder Dragon steal, but look how quickly V5 react. The double flash straight over the wall as Mo gets the taunt. They find these picks, and even though Kanavi and Yagao are trying to get these turnaround plays, there's just not enough damage right now from Yagao or from Kanavi to try and make things happen. Zoom TP's in to run the hell away straight off the bat. It's just disastrous from JDG.
And you know, valiant effort there from Kanavi, but he just doesn't have damage to finish off an AD carry. You could see immediately Mole goes in with the ultimate to block a bunch of that damage. He's now got 16 stacks on his Medjais. And it doesn't get any better for JDG. Like, they're only falling further behind. 7,000 gold now with the Baron in the pockets of V5. That lead is going to be extended even further.
And V5 are so good at playing around these sidelines as well because they have Mole in this Galio. He can just do plays like this, play off towards the side, and join in if JDG ever attempt any funny business.
Yagao trying to clear the wave in the mid lane here as ppgod and Sam D going to pressure on towards this tower. LvMao moves in on the Bard. Tempered Fate is available, so they can potentially stop some kind of shenanigans if V5 want to force.
Now they continue their push in. We've got 2.5 minutes until V5 can turn towards this Elder Dragon. I don't know why we're following a single creep, but sure.
It's stopping the wave. It's slowing things down just a little bit. And it means that these waves are going to be out of sync just a bit. So V5, not the ideal siege scenario here. Good damage onto ppgod, but another Shockwave Sombrero out of Yagao. This is not what we're used to seeing.
Not at all, and look at the engage now that's gone. Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the Shockwave. You would imagine the V5 would just go to knock down that mid lane structure now as this next wave will start to hit.
I have to say, I'm kind of impressed by JDG's defense, though. Like, they are holding on decently against a team that is notorious for breaking the base. But even if it was a valiant defense, it's not been enough. The first inhib tower has fallen, and now onto the inhib itself. JDG trying to position like they can contest, but you cannot fight this team right now.
And look at Mole. He's already in this top lane. He's already working his way through this. And here's a minion wave I prepped earlier as the cooking show will go on. And it looks like it's Roast JDG as we are closing in on an end to Game 3.
Yes, we are. 20 seconds still on this Baron buff, and the Tempered Fate onto a few people. This could be the shockwave of the century. Everybody goes in for the wombo combo, but Zoom forced out, rooted up. LoKen trying to get damage onto ppgod. Well, the turret survives. Honestly, we call this a win for JDG.
We do, but as you said, hey, look, that would have been a great situation for a Shockwave. It's still on cooldown for Yagao. They can't make these plays work because they're throwing everything at the kitchen sink to desperately hold on to their base. But now the combo isn't quite there. However, a minute until this Elder Dragon. This is going to be the game ender. This is where V5 can either continue their push through mid, just kill anyone from JDG who approaches, play through that top lane once again. But if JDG can somehow steal this away with a 2-level deficit on Kanavi, they could find that combo. They could find the play, but V5 want to pick them off, it looks like, before that happens.
LvMao's on the Bard, though, so they get away safely here. 35 seconds until that Elder. And this Elder, as you rightly say, is going to be everything in this game. JDG have got to pull something out here. And if there's one team in the LPL that we know can never be counted out, JDG is that team. When we think about their series against Top Esports back in the spring finals, they went to the wire every single game. You can always believe that something miraculous can happen. Yagao with a big shockwave could turn things around, but Kanavi needs to be careful here. V5 trying to force a play. Yagao teleports in.
But here we go, V5 turning towards the Elder Dragon. JDG spread out, Zoom looking to find the flank here, but he has been spotted on these wards.
This play could decide the entire series. Yagao moving in. ppgod going to be stunned up by the crystalline arrow, but it's not really the ideal target. Kanavi just wants to find a way in. Tempered Fate onto the team. In they go. Shockwave only onto one, but it's Sam D that's taken down. Kanavi is the answer. And the Elder Drake, who's going to grab it? It is going to be Weiwei, and that might just be the fight as well. Down they fall. Biubiu survives, gets himself a shield as well, and there's just never enough tanky stats to deal with the dragon. Yagao getting out, but he's on the wrong side of the map, and V5 want to win the game.
It's only Yagao and LvMao who are surviving. There's a wave here in mid lane. It's a super minion as well, and V5 can look to win the trial of intellect here.
And Mole has his teleport available. He can just sit in base, and as soon as that super is tanked by the towers, he can TP in, or just get straight into the plate immediately. Yagao here to try and defend. They've got to clear these waves if they can, but Mole, he's not looking to let them defend. Annihilates Yagao right on the footsteps of his base. Weiwei tanks the tower for a little too long, though. Little bit embarrassing.
That could actually stop them ending the game.
Surely
Weiwei
not.
has now stopped them ending the game. With that play, they've actually managed to hold on.
Oh my god. Dagda, we came into this saying it's all about the junglers. It's all about Weiwei and Kanavi. If JDG can come back now, and Weiwei has just stopped them ending.
Now look, we still have that Elder buff onto V5 for another minute and a half. It's 30 seconds until Weiwei's up. They'll still have a little bit of time before that is up and available. The big thing here is that Baron is spawning in 10 seconds though, and here's the fight. You can see how far ahead V5 are. Kanavi goes in and just instantly gets burst out. He's not able to... He tries to smite the dragon. It's a valiant effort. It's still on 2,000 health, and he just falls. And from there, V5 can clean up, but a little bit over-aggressive when we got to the base. And I want to see what's happening on live, because honestly, JDG could have tried to rush this Baron, or at least set up for this Baron.
So what actually happened here? One of the shotgun shots must have just clipped anyway. Zoom getting out on a magical journey here. Mole's followed him in, but he's kind of lonely right here. A lot of damage can come on through. Stopwatch going to be used. All the Zhonya's, in fact, torn only onto LvMao, and Mole gets out with his life, and he's still got Elder, so he gets a kill to boot. JDG, they've got a flick.
And V5 are looking to march forward. The minions are on their way. Yagao doesn't quite get hooked by ppgod.
This is going to be the final moments here. Yagao doesn't have himself a Shockwave. Zoom doesn't have himself Stormbringer. There's no arrow for LoKen. V5 are on the cusp of a victory here, and immediately onto these towers they go. JDG have to make one last stand. In they go. Knock up onto Zoom. Elder is about to tick off, but they'll grab a couple of kills before they do. And Mole, 11-0-5, the team captain and the leader for V5.
And V5 will